What if a single scar could rewrite a chef's destiny? Meet Orson Whittock, a delivery driver with a vintage Patek Philippe, a past shrouded in fire, and a secret that's about to explode in the most Michelin-starred way. From the rain-soaked streets of Austin to the frosty chaos of the Crimson Fork's kitchen, this is a story where truffle oil wars collide with redemption, and a single omelet could shatter a tyrant's ego. Before we dive into the simmering drama, make sure you're part of the feast. Smash that subscribe button to join us on this culinary roller coaster where every scar has a recipe, and every second counts. Trust us, you'll want a front row seat. The rain slammed against the windshield like a drummer gone rogue. Orson Whittock drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, a nervous habit he'd inherited from his father, and squinted through the fogged glass. The neon sign of the Crimson Fork flickered ahead, its crimson letters bleeding into the gray Austin morning. He checked his wrist instinctively. The old Swiss watch, its leather strap frayed at the edges, ticked stubbornly. 6:58 a.m. 2 minutes early. Perfect. He hauled the crates of heirloom tomatoes and microgreens to the service entrance, his boots squelching in the mud. The kitchen's hum, clanging pans, hissing steam, the occasional barked order, greeted him before the door even swung open. Late again, driver? A sneer cut through the noise. Marco, the sous chef with a tattooed neck and a perpetual smirk, leaned against the doorframe. His apron was suspiciously clean for someone who claimed to run this kitchen. Orson bit back a retort. Driver. The word always carried a venomous lilt here, as if delivering ingredients was a crime against culinary sanctity. He forced a smile. Just need a signature, Marco. All right. The signature. Marco made a show of patting his pockets. Left my pen in the walk-in. Wait here, yeah. The door clicked shut. Orson exhaled. This wasn't forgetfulness, it was theater. Last week they'd lost the invoice. The week before, the chef was in a meeting. He glanced at his watch. 7:12 a.m. Fresh Route would dock his pay if this took longer than 15 minutes. The door creaked open again. This time it was the new intern Marisol, her name tag read, holding a chipped mug of coffee. Her eyes darted to his watch. That's vintage, right? A Patek Philippe. He blinked. Most people here didn't know a Patek from a potato. 1958 Calatrava. My grandfather's. It's beautiful, she said, then lowered her voice. They're doing this to everyone. Last month, a dairy supplier cried in the alley. Before he could reply, Marco reappeared, waving a pen like a conductor's baton. Found it. Let's see. Tomatoes, greens. Wait, where's the truffle oil? Truffle oil's tomorrow, Orson said evenly. Chef Cedric's gonna be pissed. Marco scribbled a loopy signature, taking his sweet time. You know how he is about precision. Orson's jaw tightened. Cedric DuPont, the Speed King, whose Instagram boasted 100K followers and 0 patience. Rumor had it he'd once fired a line cook for julienning carrots too slowly. As Marco sauntered off, Orson caught Marisol's eye. She mouthed sorry and vanished into the steam. Back in his van, he stared at the watch. 7:27 a.m. 12 minutes late. His fingers brushed the scar on his left wrist. A jagged line hidden under the leather strap. A phantom ache pulsed, the kind that came with memories of fire and shattered porcelain. 6 years and you're still here, he thought. Still driving. But as he pulled away, he glanced at the rearview mirror. The Crimson Fork loomed, its windows glowing like embers. Somewhere in that kitchen a timer was ticking. The following week, the Texas sun burned through the clouds, but the kitchen of the Crimson Fork remained a cage of frost. Orson lingered near the delivery entrance, his usual spot, as Marco inspected a crate of black truffles with exaggerated scrutiny. These smell like wet socks, Marco declared, nostrils flaring. You sure they're fresh? Orson shrugged. Ask the fungi expert. They're your order. A laugh snorted from the grill station. Cedric DuPont, his chef's coat immaculate and sleeves rolled to reveal forearms mapped with burn scars, sauntered over. Touchy today, driver? His French accent sharpened the word like a paring knife. Maybe you need a snack. Marco. Let him taste the new amuse-bouche. Marco's smirk returned. He plucked a porcelain spoon from the counter, cradling a dollop of crimson mousse topped with gold leaf. Go on. It's delicious. Orson hesitated. The last tasting had ended with him spitting out a salt-bombed custard while the line cooks howled. But Cedric's gaze, cold, challenging, left no room for refusal. He took the spoon. The mousse melted, a burst of beetroot and horseradish. Too acidic. No balance. He swallowed. Interesting. Interesting. Cedric leaned in. That's all. It needs something sweet. A honey drizzle, maybe. The kitchen stilled. Marco's pen froze mid-invoice. Even the dishwashers paused, their rubber gloves dripping. Cedric's laugh shattered the silence. A driver lecturing me on balance? Mon Dieu. He snapped his fingers. Marisol, bring him an egg. Let's see how he balances an omelette. The intern hurried over, her cheeks flushed. She pressed a cold egg into Orson's palm. You don't have to do this, she whispered. Too late. Cedric had already cleared a corner of the stainless steel counter. 5 minutes. Impress me. Orson stared at the egg. Memories flashed, sizzling butter, the hiss of a whisk, his old mentor barking. Speed is nothing without control. His scar throbbed. He cracked the egg one-handed. The yolk landed whole, a perfect sun. A murmur rippled through the kitchen. Cedric's smile stiffened. Orson moved methodically. Butter swirled in the pan, thyme stripped from stems, a pinch of sea salt. No frenzy, no wasted motion. When he folded the omelette, it glided onto the plate like silk, golden, unbroken. Marisol gasped. That's exactly like the MasterChef technique. Cedric's knife clattered against the cutting board. Where did you learn that? YouTube. Orson wiped his hands on a towel, his voice flat. Liar. Cedric stepped closer, eyes narrowing. That's Michelin-level precision. A drop of sweat trailed down Orson's neck. His sleeve had ridden up, exposing the scar. A twisted rope of flesh. Marisol's gaze caught it. Did you work in a kitchen before? The room held its breath. Once. He yanked his sleeve down. A lifetime ago. Cedric's jaw twitched. For a heartbeat, something raw flickered in his eyes. Not mockery, but recognition. Then he clapped, slow and sardonic. Bravo, driver. Maybe you missed your calling. Orson turned to leave, but Cedric blocked his path. Next time, he murmured. Wear gloves. Your hands are too soft for real work. Outside, Orson leaned against his van, trembling. The scar burned. He could still smell the smoke, still hear the screams from that Chicago kitchen. The night ambition had exploded in his face. Marisol appeared, clutching 2 to-go cups. Americano, extra cream. She hesitated. You're better than him. Why hide it? He sipped the coffee, bitter and familiar. Not hiding. Surviving. As her footsteps faded, he glanced at his watch. The Patek Philippe ticked on, steady as a heartbeat. The air in the Crimson Forks kitchen hung thick with the scent of burnt caramel and tension. Orson stood at the delivery entrance, a box of saffron threads in hand, as Cedric circled him like a hawk. Late again, Cedric drawled, tapping his knife against his palm. Do you enjoy wasting my time, driver? Orson set the box down. Your invoice. Ah yes, the invoice. Cedric plucked a saffron strand, held it to the light and sneered. Third-rate quality. Just like your punctuality. Marisol, chopping onions nearby, stiffened. Chef, that's the same supplier. Quiet. Cedric's voice cracked like a whip. He turned back to Orson. You're lucky I don't report you to Fresh Route. Though I suppose they're used to failures. The word failure hung in the air, sharp and deliberate. Orson's fingers twitched toward his scar, but he stopped himself. 6 years. 6 years of biting his tongue. You're right, Orson said quietly. I was a failure. Cedric froze. The kitchen's usual clamor died into a hush. Failed to save my station during the fire. Failed to keep my team safe. Orson unbuttoned his cuff, rolling up his sleeve to reveal the scar in full. A twisted landscape of flesh. Marisol sucked in a breath. But you. He stepped closer, locking eyes with Cedric. You're failing now. Overpriced truffles, gimmicky gold leaf, and a staff too scared to tell you your béarnaise is split. Cedric's face flushed crimson. You think you can? Orson pulled out his phone. A headline blared on the screen. Former Michelin chef Orson Whittock acquires the Crimson Fork. A new era for Austin's dining scene? The knife clattered to the floor. Check your email, Orson said. "The transfer finalized an hour ago." Marisol's onion knife slipped, nicking her finger. She didn't seem to notice. Cedric stared at the phone, his throat bobbing as if swallowing glass. When he finally spoke, his accent frayed at the edges. "You bought this place?" "No," Orson pocketed his phone. "I bought your contract." The walk-in freezer's hum grew deafening. Cedric's hands trembled. Not with rage but something quieter, desperate. "Why?" "Because you remind me of myself." Orson nodded at Cedric's forearms, the lattice of old burns. All that ambition. All that fear. For a heartbeat, Cedric's mask slipped. His lips parted, a silent admission. Then he laughed. A hollow, broken sound. "You think this changes anything? I'll quit." "I'll." "You won't." Orson picked up the saffron box. "You applied to Lou Jardin in Chicago 3 years ago. They rejected you because your risotto was overcomplicated." Cedric recoiled as if struck. "I was on the review panel." Orson handed him the invoice. "Sign it, chef. We have a restaurant to fix." When Cedric scrawled his name, the pen tore through the paper. The Crimson Forks dining room, once a temple of dim chandeliers and white tablecloths, now buzzed with the clatter of construction. Drywall dust floated in the sunlight streaming through new floor-to-ceiling windows, and the air smelled of fresh paint and uncertainty. On the far wall, a hand-painted sign read, "Harmony Bistro, where the kitchen meets the road." Marisol adjusted her fresh route cap, her fingers brushing the embroidered logo. It felt lighter than her old chef's hat. She glanced at the delivery van idling outside, its side stamped with Harmony's new motto, "Know your ingredients, know your people." "First stop, Bistro Verde on 5th, Orson said, handing her a clipboard. His Swiss watch peeked out from under a paint-splattered sleeve. "Remember, double-check the truffle oil seals. Last week, Marco tried to slip an expired stock." She nodded, then hesitated. "What if I mess up?" "You will." He smiled, a rare crack in his stoicism. "Then you'll fix it. That's the job." As the van pulled away, Cedric emerged from the kitchen, his chef's knife in hand. He glared at the open kitchen layout, a stage where diners could now watch him sweat. "This is a circus," he muttered. "Since when do chefs perform like monkeys?" "Since we realized monkeys have better teamwork," Orson replied, not looking up from the plumbing invoice. Cedric's knuckles whitened around his knife. For 3 weeks he'd dodged the new rule. Every chef must deliver. But today's schedule, scrawled in Orson's blocky handwriting, forced his hand. Cedric DuPont. 10 a.m. delivery shift. The van's AC groaned as Cedric navigated Austin's mid-morning traffic. A box of heritage carrots shifted precariously beside him. "Deliveryman." The word curdled in his stomach. He'd rather julienne his own thumb. At Bistro Verde, a sous chef with a hipster beard snorted. "Cedric DuPont? The Speed King? Now a driver." "Temporary insanity," Cedric snapped, shoving the box into his arms. Back in the van, his phone buzzed. A DM from at Foodie Guru 99. "Heard you got demoted. Sucks, bro." He hurled the phone onto the passenger seat. The next delivery went worse. A vegan cafe owner lectured him for 5 minutes about carbon footprints, while his chilled heirloom corn kernels warmed in the Texas sun. By the third stop, Cedric's shirt clung to his back, and the van reeked of defeat. Marisol returned at noon, her cap askew but eyes bright. "Delivered 15 orders. Though I may have parked in a fire lane." Orson chuckled. Classic rookie move. Their camaraderie stung Cedric more than the kitchen burns. He slammed a crate of kohlrabi onto the counter. "Happy now? I did your stupid delivery." Orson inspected a kohlrabi, running his thumb over its purple skin. "You forgot to check for bruises. 3 of these are mush." "What does it matter? They're just roots. Tell that to the farmer who grew them." Orson tossed the spoiled vegetable into the compost bin. "Or the single mom who paid $30 for a plate of your signature kohlrabi puree." Cedric opened his mouth, then shut it. The walk-ins hum filled the silence. At closing time, Orson found Cedric scrubbing the grease trap, a punishment detail he'd assigned himself. "You missed a spot," Orson said, pointing to a sludge-crusted corner. Cedric scowled but kept scrubbing. "Why bother? The health inspector's not here." Because tonight's dishy is Javier's kid sister. She starts tomorrow. The brush stilled. Cedric stared at the muck-streaked steel. I didn't know. Now you do. Orson tossed him a clean rag. Delivery shifts rotate. Dish shifts don't. Remember that. As Orson left, Cedric noticed the scar peeking from under his sleeve again. A chef's mark. A survivor's mark. He scrubbed harder. A month later, Harmony Bistro glowed like a lantern in the Austin night. The open kitchen buzzed, not with the usual tension, but with the clatter of mismatched plates and laughter. Long communal tables replaced white cloth settings, and the air smelled of smoked paprika and forgiveness. Orson stood at the pass, his Swiss watch reflecting the fairy lights strung above. He surveyed the room. Marisol balancing 3 appetizer plates like a pro, Cedric elbow-deep in dish suds, and a line cook teaching a diner how to chiffonade basil. Progress, he thought. Not perfect but alive. Chef. Marisol appeared, holding a cast-iron skillet. It's time. He nodded. The staff gathered around the central table, where a spread of family meal dishes awaited. Miso-glazed eggplant, duck confit tacos, and at the center, a towering platter of Orson's omelets, each folded with surgical precision. Cedric lingered at the edge, his apron stained with beet juice. Orson caught his eye. Sit. That's an order. The room quieted as Marisol raised her glass. To the driver-turned-chef who made us all better delivery people. Laughter rippled. Orson shook his head. To the team. And to food that earns its scars. Glasses clinked. Cedric stared at his omelet, then cleared his throat. I delivered to Mrs. Kowalski today. The lady who yelled at me last week for soggy kale. Marisol grinned. Did she throw her cane at you again? She invited me in for pie. Cedric's voice softened. Told me her husband was a trucker. Said she missed hearing delivery stories. The table fell silent. Orson watched Cedric, the way he gripped his fork, knuckles no longer white with rage. Growth, he thought. Slow, stubborn, but real. As dessert arrived, a deconstructed tiramisu with coffee soil, Marisol nudged Orson. Your turn. Tell a story. He hesitated, then rolled up his sleeve. The scar gleamed under the lights. 6 years ago I thought this marked the end. Now I realize. He glanced at Cedric's burns, Marisol's calloused hands, the dishy's chipped nail polish. It's just proof we showed up to fight. Cedric stood abruptly, chair screeching. For a heartbeat Orson thought he'd bolt. Instead he grabbed a dish towel and tossed it at Marisol. Help me wash up. These plates won't scrub themselves. The staff erupted into cheers. Orson slipped outside, where the Texas night hummed with cicadas. He leaned against the brick wall, breathing in the scent of jasmine and diesel. A cocktail that now felt like home. Marisol joined him holding 2 whiskeys. To surviving? To thriving. They clinked glasses. Inside, Cedric's laugh boomed through the open windows. A sound unfamiliar yet warm, like bread fresh from the oven. Above them, the bistro's new sign flickered to life. Harmony. Orson checked his watch. 9:27 p.m. No rush. For the first time in years, time felt like an ally. As he re-entered, his eyes drifted to the wall behind the pass. There, etched in wrought iron, was the phrase every diner would now see before their first bite. If you don't know where your food comes from, you know nothing about art. And as the golden folds of Orson's omelet settle on the plate, a question lingers like the scent of burnt caramel. Who truly holds the knife in this kitchen? Will Cedric's empire of ego crumble? Or will the flames of his ambition rise higher? The clock is ticking, the saffron's running out, and the next delivery might just change everything. Stay hungry, stay curious, and don't you dare click away. The real battle for harmony is just getting started.